Good morning, everyone. I'm doing good, and I hope that everyone else is doing good on this Tuesday morning. As always, thank you for joining me for the political section of Urban Country Mornings. Good morning, Lady T.
Good morning.
Okay, two real quick political updates for everyone this morning. For one, as we all know, the Trump impeachment trial is set to take place sometime this week. Um, the first thing that will take place before the actual trial is they will be deliberating over the fact if the trial is even constitutional to take place. And then once they come to a decision on whether or not the trial is constitutional, I believe they'll need 51 votes, or don't quote me on that number, but I believe it is 51 votes that they will need in order to make a determination on whether the trial is constitutional for the Senate to go ahead and convict Trump of inciting the Capitol riots. Now, Trump's attorneys, they may run into a little hiccup with their defense because the professional law professor that they are citing in their defense said that his words were misconstrued. He stated that it's not a matter if Trump is still president or not. It's more solely based on the fact of when the actions took place. So that may be a little bit of a hiccup for them there with their defense. Also, I think that one of the things with this trial that will be front and center is free speech, because a lot of people are saying that Trump was within his rights to go ahead and say that the election was stolen. And I did touch on this a little bit yesterday. But why I want to open the floor for the argument of free speech is because now the Senate committee is opening up I guess you could say, an investigation into anti-government groups. And at the top of that list is what is referred to as the conspiracy group QAnon and the Proud Boys. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this trial plays out, how these investigations take place, because free speech is at the helm of this, in my opinion. When we start getting into telling people what they can and cannot say and making it appear as if people don't have the right to have grievances with their government, it becomes extremely dangerous. But before I say anything else on that, I want to get your opinion about this as well as Dre's, Lady T.
Yes, yes, yes. I totally agree. I am all for free speech, but when your free speech stops where my safety begin, that's when we have an issue, so to speak. I would not like to be in a movie theater in the middle of the fifth row upstairs and someone feels free to just say fire. We're on fire. There's a law against that, guys. Don't do that. There's a law against that, guys, for a reason. So yes, I'm all for free speech. I'm all for free speech. It's according to what the speech is. That's when I start editing.
But just to be clear, even if you are in that fire, if you do go to
That movie
that movie
theater and
theater
get
and
trampled.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can still do it, correct?
Yes, if
Okay,
you want
I
to
was just
do it.
wondering if I could still do it.
If you want to do it, even
Right.
though it's against the law.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, but you
I
have
know.
freedom to do whatever.
But yeah,
No matter that, the
I mean,
person.
it's against the law to it's against the law to fly by a stop sign too. I do that. I'm
No
just saying.
matter if a person was crossing the street while you flew by the stop sign, no matter if the person in the movie theater got trampled and killed, no matter, you just have the freedom to do that.
I do
I
have.
would like
I'm just.
to use common sense.
I was just wondering if I had the freedom to do. Yeah, to do so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all.
You,
That's all. I just want to make sure if I still if I still have that freedom to do that.
yeah. You had the freedom to get up right now, go take your 38 and put a bullet in the first person head you see. You have the freedom.
Good.
The right
And I reserve it.
or wrong, the right or wrong, that's where your freedom meets my safety. That's where I am. Yes, he had the freedom to blow through the light, Your Honor, but he just annihilated this lady's car. What about her freedom? Her freedom to live, her freedom to, that's just where the road meets the tarp meets the road.
So let me ask you a question. Three cars are driving around the street, right? And I'm driving the first one, right? And I come up to the stop sign and I blow through it. I just blow right through it. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody was in the way. Nobody was doing anything. The guy behind me sees what I did and figures he's going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
He blows through. Same thing. No problem. No accident. The guy behind him figures he's going to go through and do the same thing. But here comes the lady walking in. Am I wrong for this third guy hitting the lady?
Yeah, you're wrong because you should have stopped. You should have just followed.
Am I going to be charged? Or can you charge me for hitting that lady? Can you charge me for the third car hitting that lady? Because remember, I was the first car that blew.
You was the first car.
Right.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay.
Because the
It's a little
second
similarity.
car, based on what you did, the second and the third car you said saw you and they did it, and they did, and they did it.
Right.
So in actuality, you do have something in your spirit, a personal feeling of,
No, I already left. I don't even know what the hell happened. I was the third car. I didn't even know the second that.
Yeah.
I have no clue what happened. So
Yeah.
there's nothing in my spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you do it actually knowing, I think there's something to be said for that.
Right. Yeah, I think this court case goes nowhere.
I think that I think that free speech is something that's very delicate. I do honestly feel that, just for me personally, I think it's something that should be used responsibly. But at the same time, you cannot expect everyone to do what it is that you would do. And everyone does have the right to it. My thing of it is with this riot or what took place at the Capitol. The reason why this is still so much in the forefront in the media, for one, because Trump is going to be facing a trial here soon if they go ahead and decide to do it. Going to be facing a trial for inciting those riots. However, there were many people that shared the same sentiments that Trump shared. So the thing for me with free speech is that we all do have a right to it, but I think that they're going to be using this Capitol riot as some type of insidious plan to begin to start chipping away at our rights. We've seen it happen before with other incidents that took place, where once that incident happened, you begin to see more and more of your rights get scaled back. So I think that what happened at the Capitol was an unfortunate situation. Do I feel that the people had the right to be there? Absolutely. Do I think that there was people that came there with the intent to agitate that riot? Absolutely. So, like I said, I think this is a very dangerous tone that is being set to where the media is trying to make it appear that people don't have the right to take up grievances against their government. And that is the essential premise, one of the biggest things of the First Amendment. You have the right to petition your government for grievances. So when they start pushing this message that people had no right to do what they did, I just have to disagree with that, because I think that they're backing people into a corner and saying, hey, if you don't if you don't agree with the government, you could be deemed a terrorist for what you say, because they're saying that QAnon they're touting all these conspiracies, and they're able to label them as conspiracy theorists because what they're saying is unfavorable to the government. So I think that's extremely, extremely dangerous when we start to go down that road. And I'm just curious to see where this thing is going to go, because I feel like it's going to affect all of us, not just the Capitol rioters, not just the protesters. I think it's going to start to affect everyone.
Here's my thing. Like when I talk about energy and I talk about energy harvesting, people out here harvest energy. Like high officials out here harvest energy. They do that. And I'm gonna continue to say that. Whether how irresponsible Lady T feels like it is, I'm considered a conspiracy theorist because of that. Now, I we created a platform so people like me can say things like this, regardless of how irresponsible anybody feels like it is. I'm
That's
going.
my thing. That's my thing. I think that, again, because of what took place at the Capitol, and Lady T touched on this a little bit. She said, when your free speech becomes a threat to me. I think that that particular incident is going to open the doorway for people who have unpopular opinions, people who may want to contest the government. They're going to be walking on a tightrope because no one is going to want to be deemed as a terrorist. And that's something that, I feel will be manipulated and used against people who just simply don't agree with the government. I feel like now it's starting out with the Capitol riot. And of course, there's people there that did things that they should not have done. But like I said, I think this is going to have a domino effect, and it's going to start trickling down to people who just say things that are not favorable to the status quo. And, I think that's where we're headed.
Before you jump in, Lady T, QAnon, we got a place right here at urbancountryfilms.com. You can have your free speech. We ain't gonna shut you off. We actually fight for your right to say whatever the craziness you want to say. But go ahead, Lady T.
Bring it on. I'm ready. Okay, come on with your lizard eating babies theory. We got plenty of babies right here. I'm trying to get pregnant now. Come on with your Pizza Hut theories. Come on. Come on. Okay, if you ain't ask Shelley. If you ain't bringing no evidence, I ain't got no words for you. Okay, stop at every stoplight, follow the rules, and don't be defiant. And you won't have to get kicked off, shut off, or kicked out.
Yep.
How about that?
Exactly. Do exactly as I say, and not as I do. That's
I
and
didn't
that's and
see
that's
it.
what it that's what it that's what it
Follow
boils down
the
to.
rules. The rules are there for a reason.
That's what it boils down to.
Follow the rules, and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I have a question about that because I hear a lot of people say, especially when these things that are deemed as conspiracy theories come to the forefront. Um, my thing is that when you're going up against a very powerful entity that has the right to silence you, I think that people do themselves a disservice not to examine that because things that may sound crazy may not necessarily be crazy when you start to peel back the layers. And, sometimes things sound so crazy that people just don't want to believe them. But even if you don't want to believe it, I think that at least for me, I feel like you should at least take a look at it. Again, you can decide for yourself once you have all the information whether or not it makes sense to you. At the end of the day, you're going to use your discernment because that's all you can do. My thing is there has been compelling evidence against against our people in government. That's just the reality of what it is. And when I did some digging, I found things that just did not sit right with me at all, especially the number of um, police officers, even people in the FBI that tried to expose some of this information. They're no longer here to tell their story. And that, for me, stuff like that raises my antennas. Like, why did they go so hard to silence these people? They're saying that these people committed suicide, but when you look into how they died, it just simply does not make sense. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that are going on, and that's why I don't take anything off the table. I encourage people to look into it, at least look into it. And like I said yesterday, that doesn't mean you have to believe everybody screaming and yelling on the internet. But when certain things come across your radar and they're just so shocking that you don't want to believe them, I think that for me, that's something that I definitely want to look into because, as they always say, truth is usually stranger than fiction. So, you don't want to leave anything on the table. You want to be able to know what's going on around you. I mean, you can't just walk around oblivious to things because it feels better to not know. And for a lot of people, they're more comfortable when they just don't know. I'm not one of those people. I encourage everyone to know what is going on because that's the only way we solve the issues.
I concur. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it until I can't say it anymore. The beginning starts with communication. So if there are some things that sparks your mental lobe and this just don't make sense, then and 9 times out of 10, 99.99 times out of 10, suicide never makes sense to me, at least. Never. Because I grew up in a belief that you don't take the most precious gift God gave you, but that's me. So I never make that. Never, suicide just don't make sense. But that's the part that I've been saying over and over and over. Read for yourself. Go for yourself. Find this news. Go to that news. If it ain't on Black urban country films, find it somewhere else. I have gotten in trouble for telling you, Google this, look at this way I found, and look at other streams. Listen to other people around the world. Find more than just your comfort circle. Get out of that, which is probably why I like talking to you so much, Shelley, because I can't just take all of my circle because I know where my circle feels. I need to hear someone else's circle, what someone else feel and why they feel like that. And big as I'm is, big as my mouth is, don't have no problem going up in any hole, wall, brick, club, whatever, and saying what I need to say. And we laugh, and we drink, and we talk, and there go the start of a beginning of a conversation, because change ain't gonna happen without the conversation. And I try and narrow my words to down instead of many people, because it don't be many people, it be my circle. A lot of folks think it don't be, it be my circle. So I try and get the actual to the root of the problem. But yes, freedom of speech is still alive, y'all.
So just one last quick question. What do you all think about the root of this thing as far as them starting out with an incident and being able to kind of curtail that into people really not being able to say what it is that they want to say? Because like I said, I just see this being the starting point of a restriction of speech, which I think is extremely dangerous, because if people can't get information out there because it's being blocked by the powers that be, I feel like we all stand to lose when it comes to that. And I think that when people are having these discussions, a lot of people overlook that. Like, yeah, you may want this side to be silenced, but what happens when it comes to your side and you can no longer say what it is that you want to say? So that's why I say freedom of speech is, sometimes I think when we have it, we take it for granted and we feel like it's something that's never going to be taken from us. But as we're seeing with these situations that are taking place, I feel like more and more every day, our rights to say what it is that we want to say are being chipped away at. And
yeah,
again, as I said, people are not going to know what that feels like until it starts happening to them.
To you, I totally agree. I think that's a big part of the Republican Party right now. Everybody see them blowing up from the floor up, infighting. They are just, I don't want to use Dre's word because I don't feel sorry for them, because I'm grown enough to know and educated enough to know that this is what happens. It's a cycle. So I won't say I'm sorry. But yeah, I totally agree. And I knew over 4 years ago, I knew that there was going to be several deaths after this guy. This guy has changed policy. They use the word unprecedented over 400, 500 times because it is unprecedented. So I knew then that the shame has died. You could tell a lie and double down on the lie and double down on the lie again and double down on the lie 17 times and you sued for 1.3 billion. There's no shame in the game. He's killed shame. Wholeheartedness is gone. I knew that there would be a plethora of rewritten treaties just based on somebody getting fired at 2-3 o'clock in the morning by a tweet and not actually going through the motion. So I think that we're going to have a hard time, but I'm so optimistic. It feels so good. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. Thank you, Mr. Biden. When he go to the podium, it seemed like it's a presidential thing to do. And you ain't used to getting your views on the phone. It just feels like people just stay optimistic. Just follow me. Just be calm. Cause that sleep been good. I've been slobbing, waking up late. It just feels so good. So yeah, I knew that there would be a plethora of rewritten laws based on this one factor.
See, this is my issue with the Democrats, and this is why I just can't support them anymore. Not that I have too much support for the Republicans either, but this is my issue with them. They're able to keep up appearances and make people feel as if there's no dirt in their water, and that's just not the case.
God, no.
They say what's not presidential and this and that. And yes, that may be the case. But my thing is, do you want to get the truth from someone that makes you feel uncomfortable? Or do you want to get a lie from someone that makes you feel good? And I think that the media has done a great job on playing on people's emotions and, making them feel like because something makes you feel good and it looks good, that you can trust it. And that's the thing that makes me mad. Because was Trump perfect? Absolutely not. Did he do things wrong? Absolutely. But there's so many members of our government that are doing wrong things as well. But then we're jumping on the bandwagon now, making it seem like because this group is here, then all things are solved. And that's just simply not the case. And I think that they're really able to play on people's emotions and make them feel like because they feel good that things are better, when in actuality, not too much has changed. I think that it's going to be us, the people, that ultimately are going to invoke this change. And once we begin to realize that we need to take our power back and we need to hold all of these politicians accountable, then we're going to continue to go around in this vicious cycle where we feel like, yeah, this side is right, this side is wrong. When at the end of the day, there needs to be changes made on both ends of the spectrum. But like I said, I feel like the Democrats are good with keeping up appearances and making people feel like they're for them. And that's totally just not the case.
You're absolutely, well, I wouldn't agree that is not the case, but I agree with what you're saying. The appearances, sometimes it's aesthetics. Sometimes it's the way a thing look that would make a person say, I'm gonna buy into that. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna try that. So that part is good, and it's always good. I can't find anything wrong with making people feel soothed at a time of a pandemic. So I can't even begin to see anything wrong with that when people need to be stroked, because everybody want to be stroked every now and then. However, it hurts when you do believe, and I understand some of the Republicans, I until you actually get there and see, or until you hear with your own, because you feel good about a thing and you're believing a thing and believing in a person and a thing until you hear their voice on the same recorder saying the opposite of what they just said to soothe me, to tell me that this is just a little flu, it'll go away, only one person, by Easter we'll be back. To actually hear that person tell the truth when he doesn't think anybody's listening, that's when I start getting nervous. Because that lie and another lie and another lie and another lie, because all this time, like you said, Shelley, I've been feeling so comfortable and so scroped and blessed. And you said it was gonna go away by Easter. And I didn't even know you were still in a month and 3 weeks of my life by not telling me the truth until you was found out. It would be another thing if you told the truth before you was found out. It's just we got a long way to go. So all I'm saying, guys, is just keep your eye on the prize. Shelley, as always, I miss you yesterday. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And listen, keep your eyes on the prize. We gonna be all right. We getting there slowly but surely. What you got for us, Dre?